This is the 2025 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Malt Experiment, Amber Ale. Thanks to our sponsors. 5 Star Chemicals. Check out their new online straight-to-consumer homebrew shop where you can buy everything from Star San and line cleaner to the new liquid PBW that can be used at temperatures as low as 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Check out their online store at 5starchemicals.com/home-brewing. Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Supply Store. A local homebrew shop in Danvers, Massachusetts. Order any malt they offer in any quantity you want, and if you order before 11 a.m., they'll package your items and ship out the very same day. Visit the store at www.beer-wine.com. Let's get tasting.
Good evening, everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Kurt from Fermentation Adventures, back with another malt experiment review. This is my second review and first beer that is not mine that I'm reviewing here. Next up for me is HundHutte Brewing, or Crockett Taxidermy as well. So reviewing this beer, you can see the nice spinning can I'll have up here. And again, the idea, malt experiment, we all brewed an amber ale, same base recipe, which I'll throw up here somewhere as I talk through it. We all altered the base recipe by adding a single specialty malt to try to bring out the differences of that specialty malt. And at the end, we're going to kind of all rank them. Again, my ranking is going to be based on how much I like the specialty malt and what it brought to the base beer. I sort of tried to brew a baseline. I really should have just brewed the baseline beer with no malt, with specialty malts. I did add some cinnabar to that, which the other video is out there. But again, it seemed to be, the pretty basic baseline beer for that. So for HundHutte's beer here, his specialty malt for the experiment is 1 pound of Opal 44 toasted toffee malt. I probably should have looked it up before recording. I'm not sure who the maltster is for this malt, but it did end up bringing his final beer to an ABV or a 5.1% with 30 IBU. So everything else should have been pretty much baseline. These numbers are very much in line with my beer that I just reviewed here. So let's open this up and give it a pour and try it out. So he has these extra interesting cans with the lids. So there was a little bit of a hiss. So the can was very nice and firm. I'm not going to pour the whole thing in. I'm going to try to avoid that in case there's anything settling to the bottom. Let's see if I look at this. Again, I chose a tulip, which is kind of hard on camera for everyone to see how clear it is. But looking up to the light, I can definitely see that it's a lighter color than my beer was. I'd say in the SRM range, it's still probably in around the 13, 14 SRM, I guess. I should have grabbed my BJCP little card for comparison. I'll try to remember to do that next time. There is kind of a subtle haze to it if I'm looking through the glass, but it does look, it's very much an amber ale. But again, darker than the baseline, not as dark as mine, which I added the cinnamon, darkened it right up. And so yeah, it certainly looks the part. Again, I didn't pour too aggressively here. I probably should have. But again, I'm getting a little slight skim of foam around the ring of the glass. Again, it is a little off-white. I wouldn't say it's approaching tan, but it is definitely not white as well. It's probably more of an ivory, to be honest with you, instead of a kind of a tan color. But that's appearance-wise. It does look well carbonated. The can I've tried here was good and firm when I poured it out. So let's go in for a sniff. Okay, so first off, interestingly enough, there's definitely more of a upfront sweetness kind of character I get from this. Again, the malt is called a toffee malt. It's really promoting kind of a sweeter character than I got from my kind of baseline beer. It does definitely give it more of a character aroma. So yeah, there definitely is a promoting of kind of a toffee. I'm trying to remember those Christmas candies. Maybe they're called the toffee, Toffee. Maybe, I don't know if they even sell them in the US, but they're like little half kind of butterscotch-esque half cups with a little bit of chocolate dab on the front. Smelling this beer really brings back that reminder of opening that box and going into to trying that out. If I can find I'll probably throw an image overlay in here so folks can know what I'm talking about. I literally have zero idea if it's just a Canadian only thing or if it's they were sold in the United States. I can't recall seeing them in many years. My grandparents used to have them by 40 years ago, but anyhow, as an aroma reference that probably most people are not going to get. But yeah, very sweet. I do get it a little underlying of the kind of the Munich, the kind of the richer underlying kind of the dark sugar. I'm like blanking now what the real descriptor is. A good descriptor for Munich malt is, but you know, if you taste the beers or like the Oktoberfest, you know what it, you know, kind of what that character might be for, I should say, Marzen Oktoberfest. That is definitely in there. Again, very little in the way of hops. Very clean fermentation. Maybe getting a little bit of a subtle fruitiness. Again, more dark fruit. Maybe that's a little bit of an ester character that's coming through. Again, we used BRY 97 from Lallemand as our yeast. That's typically really clean yeast, but I do think I get some kind of amalgam of with the darker sugar aromas in here. Again, I keep going back to brown sugar or the caramel, those type of aromas, and interplaying a little bit with maybe a subtle fruity ester. I do get a little bit of what I would call like a very light raisin, maybe almost like you get some raisins are really dark and they kind of have that really dark sugar, that really dark fruit flavor. There's other raisins you can get. We were a kid, they're almost like golden raisins. So probably somewhere around that. That's kind of what I'm kind of thinking as far as the aroma I'm getting from this. But yeah, it's really, to me, again, sweetness, there's no aroma to sweetness, but it's just bringing to mind kind of getting a sense of like that fuller kind of fresh wheat bread. Again, that's a little bit of that graininess, a little bit of that, subtle yeasty ester that's floating around there in the aroma. Let me try this. Go in for a sip. Interesting. So, yeah, again, the bitterness profile, same as some of the other beers. Not really getting a big retro-nasal aroma hit. Definitely, oh yeah, now I get a little bit in the aftertaste. Definitely getting what's promoting, again, a kind of a toffee flavor. Or like probably like a oatmeal raisin cookie. That type of flavor is really apparent in here. It's kind of in a low to mid intensity. There's nothing really, knocking me back with a real big kick of the malty flavor, but it's definitely in there, and it's definitely different than my beer that I just tried. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and interestingly enough, the bitterness, I know the IBUs are about the same. Bitterness-wise, it seems to definitely be much less bitter than, a good deal. I wouldn't say much less, but there's a good deal of less apparent bitterness than mine. Maybe the additional sweetness that's being brought to the table from this toffee malt is really offsetting that. Again, mine, it kind of seemed like it was a dry beer. The mouthfeel seems to be a little, I wouldn't say it's a real full mouthfeel, but it's definitely not a dry finish either. But it's very sweet and enjoyable. Yeah, I really like this kind of toffee nose that's coming from this beer. It's really interesting. I'd be really interested in trying this malt myself. Again, I mentioned the previous video, Exit 12, Nick, and I put this recipe together for the amber ale. For me, in an amber ale recipe, this is not what I typically go for. I tend to like my amber ales more hop forward. Again, this experiment, we stripped out a lot of the hop flavors in favor of really trying to promote the malt. But yeah, I really like this malt in the amber. It makes it really interesting and different than what I would expect from a typical amber ale. It really makes it enjoyable. Again, it's kind of a toffee flavor. It's somewhat reminiscent of kind of a butterscotch, but it's definitely not the diacetyl kind of the diacetyl ick you might get from a beer that has a lot of that diacetyl going on. It's just it's a really nice example for a different amber ale. Yeah, and I think I'll wrap it up there. Gone on quite a bit on this. Really like this beer. Lance, oh my God, yeah, it is Lance. If I got it wrong, I'll just edit this out. But I really like this beer, Lance. Thank you for sending along so I can try it. Yes, and sponsors, 5 Star Chemicals, Beer and Wine Hobby. Thank you very much for sponsoring the club and making this experiment possible. And until the next video, I will see you all later. Cheers. Yeah, really like it. Cheers.